It's game day, bitches. Big Deke news. I figured people would be fiending for a game day preview. So here we are. First, let's go over the injuries, the latest on who's in, who's out for both teams. And with the Steelers, we know Deontay, Cam Hayward won't be playing this Monday night. But a couple surprise names popped up on the report, not only throughout the week, but also on Saturday. Throughout the week, Anthony McFarland was listed as DNP with a knee, and then finally on Saturday listed as out for this game. When did he ever get hurt? What are we going to do at third running back? I'm assuming we're just going to move Connor Hayward over, at least for this game. I doubt we call anyone up. But the other name that jumped off the injury report and has me a little concerned is George Pickens. Was fine throughout the week, not listed with anything injury related. And then Saturday, pops up with a hammy. It was listed as limited. I got two theories on this one. One is he actually does have a little bit of a hamstring pull, and the injury report is accurate. If so, this sucks because this is the last thing we need with Deontay already being out. We don't need our next best, or actually our best receiver, to be hurt too. That would really decimate our receiver room. Like, I don't want to be resorting to having to trade for Claypool, because if you guys didn't know already, the Bears got him on high alert. Like, if he doesn't get his act right, they might be trading him. And it would be kind of cool for Omar Khan's resume if he could trade Claypool to the Bears for a second rounder and draft JPJ, and then get Claypool back for like a seventh rounder. Like, that would be really impressive, but I don't think we want Claypool back on this team for multiple reasons. My other theory, though, is this. Are we just pulling a Belichick here? Little gamesmanship? Like, we're just going to throw one of our best players on the injury report with a random injury and list them as questionable just because. Because Belichick did that all the time with Tom Brady, Randy Moss. He'd always be listing them as questionable. I wonder, are we doing the same thing here? So really, deep down, I'm hoping that the second theory is correct and Pickens actually isn't injured, but I don't know if you could even do that in this day and age. But with the Browns, a big-name receiver on their end popped up over the weekend as being listed as questionable and his status being uncertain, and that's Amari Cooper. He's got a groin injury. It looked like, I think a day or two ago, he wasn't going to go. I thought they had him listed as out or doubtful. Now he's upgraded to questionable day of the game. So hopefully, let's just be real, he decides to rest up more for next week's game and wants to pass on this one, because I think that would really help out the Steelers secondary. If we're dealing with Donovan Peoples-Jones and Elijah Moore as the Browns receiver 1 and 2, that's a lot more beneficial for us than also throwing Amari Cooper into the mix. But you also got safety Juan Thornhill listed as questionable with a calf, and defensive tackle Siaki Ika questionable with a foot. But back to the Steelers, I guess Chooks is going to play them because he doesn't have an injury designation, and he was a full participant in practice on Saturday. And we know his story throughout the week. He was limited with a concussion. We have Broderick Jones practicing with the first team at right tackle in case Chooks wasn't able to make an appearance tonight. But yeah, it looks like Chooks will be good to go, and we'll have our full starting offensive line. Although deep down, I kind of would have liked to see what Broderick Jones would have looked like out there, but I don't think tonight will be his first start. Now let's get into my predictions, what I think is going to happen, because we got some Big Deke investments on deck. A lot of people have been asking me where the Big Deke investments at. Well, here we are. I got the script for the game. Here are my 6 bets, so I'll go over them and then briefly explain each one after the fact. Kenny Pickett, over a touchdown and a half. Deshaun Watson, throwing an interception. George Pickens, over 42.5 receiving yards. Calvin Austin III, over 25.5 receiving yards. Najee Harris, over 49.5 rushing yards. And, of course, Steelers money line, Steelers dub. With Kenny Pickett, it's time. His first multi-touchdown game. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've probably predicted him to throw multiple touchdowns in a game for probably every game he started. But trust me, this is the one. And let me tell you why. Because last year, I would argue Kenny Pickett's best game from quarter 1 to quarter 4 was week 18 against the Cleveland Browns. And he could have easily had 2 or 3 touchdowns in that game. He threw the one to Pickens. We know the highlight for that one. It was almost identical to the Raiders game-winning touchdown. Just hit him across the seam over the middle. But then He had 2 that he missed out on. Deontay Johnson stopped short, tackled at the 1-yard line. But then also Deontay dropped a slant over the middle when we were trying to score a touchdown in the red zone. So that could have easily been 2 or 3 touchdowns. Clearly, Kenny Pickett is comfortable against this Browns secondary, and I think this is the one, Monday Night Football at home. Kenny Pickett, at least 2 touchdowns. I think he gets 3. I talked about it on the podcast. I think the game script is he gets 1 to Pickens, he gets 1 to Muth, and I think it's going to be like maybe a shuffle pass to like Najee or Connor Hayward for the 3rd. With Deshaun Watson, this one's pretty simple. The Browns O-line, particularly in pass protection, isn't that amazing. We got good matchups against their tackles. Alex Highsmith has Jedrick Wells' number on the left side, and then on the right side, TJ Watt is going up against the rookie. I expect at least 2 sacks from him. So we're going to be wreaking havoc back there, making things uncomfortable for Watson. I think he tosses one to the Steelers' defense. Add to the fact he doesn't have a good track record against us to begin with. 0-2 against us, both with the Texans and then also Week 18 last year. And has tossed at least an interception to us in each of those games. But also add to the fact Amari Cooper might be out, and that will only help the Steelers' chances of getting one off of Deshaun Watson because he doesn't have his full arsenal out there. And then with the Steelers receivers, George Pickens and Calvin Austin, this one comes down to Deontay Johnson's out, so targets are going to be out there. And in Week 1, even though they didn't have the most prolific of games, Kenny Pickett targeted both of these guys. Calvin Austin hit the over if you're talking about just 25.5 receiving yards in Week 1. I expect him to get upwards of like 50, 60. I think he takes Deontay Johnson's spot in this offense and becomes the quarterback-friendly target for Kenny Pickett, the guy that could get the most separation, could get open closer to the line of scrimmage with some slant routes and drags and whatnot. And then with Pickens, I don't think the Browns got a guy that could defend him. And Pickens had success against the Browns last year in the Thursday night game, also Week 18. And I don't expect that to change. He has a chip on his shoulder. There's a little bit of that beef from the offseason with him and Martin Emerson. I expect Pickens to at least get like 50, 60 yards and a touchdown, like I mentioned whenever I was talking about Kenny Pickett. But then with the last player prop, and that's Najee Harris, I got over 49.5 rushing yards. Dude, we're going to need to feed him the rock to keep things going, keep the chains moving. Like, we got to get back to running the football, right? And you look back at his history against the Browns, there's never been a game where he's gotten under 56 yards. So right there, every game he's played against the Browns, he's hit that 49.5 rushing yard over. And this is going to be an easier road for the Steelers to run the ball against this Cleveland Browns front 7 compared to the 49ers. The guys that they got on the defensive line and their linebackers aren't Javon Hargrave, aren't Eric Armstead, aren't Fred Warner, aren't Dre Greenlaw. So I expect us to have success on the ground and Najee Harris specifically to at least get over 49.5 rushing yards. And then Steelers money line, we know what it is. That's it for this edition of Big Deke News on a Steelers game day. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts on my predictions down below. Stay chillin' and peace.